Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of this Omnichannel Reimagined series. I'm Brendan Witcher, your Rethink Retail top retail expert guest host, and today we're diving into critical shift happening in retail. What happens when AI becomes the storefront? With AI-powered search, chat, and voice assistants, product discovery, decision-making, and checkout are merged into a single conversation, often with no website visit required. To help unpack this and what this means for the future of commerce, I'm joined by Santiago Naranjo, Chief Revenue Officer at VTEX, and we'll explore whether traditional websites are on their way out, the new meaning of omnichannel in an AI-first world, and the risks retailers face if they let AI platforms own the customer relationship. Very exciting stuff, very relevant for today, obviously. Santiago, welcome.
Brendan, thank you so much for having me. This is an amazing moment to discuss AI topics related. We are so excited to be able to live this revolution. Uh, Definitely, we are seeing that websites and all channels and interfaces will be dramatically disrupted. So, in one sentence, I will tell you AI will eat all the front store of the website. My answer will be yes, they will take it. So, because at the end, what we were looking is to have different ways to connect with the users, but these channels are also exploding. We will have the app, we have the website, we have ChatGPT, we have live shopping, we have different type of channels. And I think AI will open more channels for the brands to connect with the users. And in that scenario, I think website will lose dramatically a lot of power. When I say website, is the UI interface. But I believe that will push also at the same time the omnichannel retailers to guarantee their capabilities in logistics, inventory, content, pricing, and how they are able to allocate the best possible inventory inside the best possible customer. And this intelligence will allow them to be profitable and to guarantee a low cost of acquisition and improve the lifetime value of the customer. So I personally, I am a logistic geek. In fact, I used to build the pick pack solution of VTEX, but I believe that the last mile, the order management system, the omnichannel capability are going to be the one that can hold the explosion of channels that AI will bring in this new reality.
This is a really interesting take on it. I think that there's a lot of people who haven't yet realized they're looking at AI more on a tactical level rather than making it be a fundamental difference of the way that websites interact with consumers or the way that they function or operate. I really liked where you were leaning into there about the transformation of that sort of experience for the individual customer. Is that what you think is going to make the difference between what we might see as out of date websites and more of the current website?
Totally. I believe that this will be a dramatic change, and not only for retailers and the consumers, but also for the system integrator vertical and industry. I don't believe that will be a space for a consultancy or a system integrator to charge 200, 300, $500,000 for a rebuild the site or just to create a new interface. This business is out. I think now the interface will fully like personalized. To be able to be personalized, you need to have the data, you need to have AI, you need to be able to understand where your consumer is. But this will be something that will be unique for each individual. In the worst case scenario, for each type of cluster or leads or possible customer that you are going to present the content to them. So this will change dramatically how we build content. Because at the end, website is something that we want to be there to express the brand, to allow the brand to connect with the users. But as we see in the physical store, the visual merchandising changed a lot. It changed based on the season, on the weather, on a lot of variables that need to be adjusted also digitally.
I see where you're going with that. That absolutely makes sense. I think what I hear a lot from the field, right, as I'm talking to our end user clients and industry pros out there, is the idea that yes, we know that we're going to be able to do things faster and easier and quicker, even making adjustments to the website. And so I really do think that the work that needs to be outsourced to get those things done is going to go down. What I found very interesting that you were kind of alluding to there, or kind of hinting at, was that the brand will be able to express itself better. The brand will be able to express who they are by delivering more of their sort of content in a more relevant way, tied to who they are, but also tied to who the customer is, to bring those two things together. Do you think, do you think that I've captured that correctly? And B, do you think that this is a right now thing, maybe a year from now, 2 years, 3 years? Like, where will we see this be um, highly adopted?
If you ask me, I think the one that adopted in the next 2 or 3 months are able to go this with this fully game well implemented for 2026 are going to win a lot of market share. Why? Because now sourcing is not anymore a problem because anybody now can, like, using marketplace capability or aggregators, they are able to bring sourcing from America, but also from China, India, Europe, or Latam. So sourcing is not anymore an issue that was in the last 2 or 3 years. So everybody can have like thousands of SKUs inside your website. Now is how you put these products in front of the people that have more probability to buy them. And these are now the challenge that the brands need to solve. And they will solve it having perfect content, understand who are their possible clients, which are the actual clients, and finally, where to show it and when to show it. And now the customers are starting to see a new, fresh way to see the content. I don't want to call out some industry and see that they are dying, but it's the reality. I don't see, for example, email being the most advanced way to connect with brands in the next year. It is getting old, or text. Now clients want to be engaged with something that is dynamic, that feels personal, that is live, that is transactional. Nobody wants to do 3 or 4 clicks to buy a t-shirt. If you like it, you want to buy it immediately. So the answer is on the timeline. I'm talking here with top 500 like retailers in America, and majority of them are in that direction. In Europe, Germany, UK, I was last 2 weeks with them, and they are moving in that direction. So I will tell you that the big brands already understood the game. They are making all these changes that is taking like 2 or 3 months. But I can be more excited to see how this will be a game changer on the market share of the companies the next year.
Yeah. What you described right in the middle there was a new way for consumers to go through product discovery, it sounds like. And that of course is something that I think that we would all agree could be better, right? Than it has been in the past. I think that consumers, they enjoy product discovery, but we certainly could help them along. And I guess what I'm asking now is, my next thought coming out of what you said is, okay, is that empowered by what I'm hearing a lot about, which is AI agents? Do you see that being part of the story?
An agent is just a automated process that can make some conditional decisions in the name of the brand or the supplier or the customer. So it is like the old methodology that we used to have, but now with more freedom for the jobs to be able to take decision from us and to have like a more semantic communication or textual communication. What I'm seeing in this concept is, I was yesterday in the phone with one of the biggest retailer of UK, and he was asking me, Santi, I want to do discovery from blog to checkout without any URL. I don't want internet. He was telling me, Santi, I don't want the internet. I just want like seamless journey that can go from a blog, from a discovery, from a news, from Pinterest or Instagram, where the customer are, and they go directly to checkout without the need to move for a PDP, PLP, home, checkout page. So all these uh, like strong conditionals that the website built to be able to have a journey, I think they will disappear. And now the engines will do this job. So the job to go and do the search inside a website or a catalog, to validate inventory, to validate the geographic, so you can check the SLA, going to be delivered in 1 day, 1 hour, or 1 minute. The agents will do it for you because it's a database. Normally, it will be a JSON that is ready for to be consumed, but it's not going to be a human. It is like when someone tell us like, do you want to check the phone of someone in the yellow page to find? No, that is not going to be anymore. Google will do it for you. The engine of Google will have it already updated. So the answer is yes, agents will do it. And I don't see in the next 12 months, 18 months, people investing in website as it is.
Right at the beginning, there's a word that I used to cover omnichannel quite a bit as an analyst. This was an area that I thought about, I covered, I researched, published research on all the time. This word omnichannel, right? That word. And so it's been around for a long time. But people have different meanings of when they say that word. Sometimes I've found in the course of doing my job. Can you give us a sense for like when you say omnichannel, what do you mean by it? And do you think that anything associated with that word changes in a world where we have AI agents?
Perfect. So in the concept that I'm seeing is moving from omnichannel to unify. And what is unify? Is one experience in and out. What is that one experience in and out that the customer can buy wherever they want in any channel, TikTok shop, Instagram, website, Apple, ChatGPT, and that should be 100% transparent for the customer. Should be the same flow, and the checkout should be also seamless. No different experience. And the most important part, Ben, is that in the post purchase is where normally checkout, omni-channel, and unify break or melt. Because let's align. Customer service is a tragedy. Nobody wants to call customer service. If you call a customer service because of tragedy, you buy incorrectly, you need to make a change, the product is not perfect, you have a quality issue. So let's align. Customer service is normally a tragedy. In that strategy, normally the brands do not invest enough. And then to be able to debug the unified omni-channel experience, you find a lot of policy, bureaucracy, or payment, or even money issues that then create and break the experience. So what I'm saying that unified is simple way to buy, no matter the channel it is, a simple way to engage customer service, the worst case scenario that you needed. If you have something different in or out, in my opinion, your brand will not be successful next year.
I think that's a pretty fair statement. What you've really described is a whole lot of change, a whole lot of transformation, and a lot of it is dovetailed into this work being done with AI. I guess when I talk to people or chat with them about AI, there's always the part of the conversation comes up where we talk about risks, right? We talk about the risk of using AI, and especially because it is a relatively new sort of capability. Maybe for some people in the tech industry, they think, oh, we've been doing that for 8 years, but your general practitioner hasn't been using AI for the last 8 years as part of the way they build websites, the way they build experiences, right? So for them, it's very new. And so I guess my question for you is, can you name a few of the risks and in outsourcing that customer journey? Like how much risk is there in certain elements, and are there ways to sort of combat those risks too?
So it is very good question. In technology, you're always going to have the early adopters and the late adopters. It's that we talk about, for example, about Apple. Apple normally is a late adopter, but is a great, perfect executor with huge brand effort. And also you're gonna have early adopters like ChatGPT or Rock or like a different type of companies, and they have different type of risk. So the big risk of third party, a customer experience, is if your cost of acquisition is too high, maybe you cannot recover the damage that a possible bad experience will do. If the cost of acquisition of your brand is low, you have more capabilities to play around and to make mistakes, to do experimentations, and to make it happen. Let me give you two different type of experience. If you are Ferrari, I don't know, you saw the news, the numbers of Ferrari are very bad. They are not achieving the sales quota. To find a new customer for Ferrari, it's very expensive. So if you implement some technology in Ferrari and it's bad, believe me, neither the guy, neither the women, neither the family, neither the friends, nobody will buy a Ferrari because the cost of acquisition is so high. You cannot play around with this type of tools. But if you are talking about HAM teacher, if you are talking about, I don't know, Oshkosh, uh, uh, shoe for a baby, you can play or experiment way better. So that is what I'm trying to tell you. So the risks are there. My recommendation is for the early adopters, understand you are, what is the trade-off that you can have in a possible way. And the late ones that are going to implement in 2 years, 3 years, you need to understand that you are allowing other ones to enter to your market. But at the moment that you enter, you need to execute perfectly. Yeah, because if not, the consumer will not allow you to arrive later and then execute poorly. That is what I see.
Right, right. Okay, well that makes sense. I think that you've called out some good risk there, and certainly we have to be cautious. I don't think any retailer would want to lose a single customer, right, in the journey at all. And so obviously part of governance, managing quality assurance testing, all these things become very important when we're thinking about using AI. One of the things that I'm seeing, speaking of which, is that a lot of consumers aren't necessarily starting their journey in the same places they used to start. I mean, let's be clear. We all wish that, retailers all wish that a customer would just type in the name of our brand.com and start shopping with us directly, but they don't, right? They use search engines. They use ChatGPT. Now they use other sort of tools to find their way. They use social media, right? But we don't own these channels, right? We don't own these channels. The other people own these channels, and they might land, with us. But what role do own channels play when the starting point of the customer is not somewhere that we own?
Now you hit the biggest the biggest decision that the CEOs will need to do. When you have someone that type your website directly or go directly, conversion rate, and you are going to talk about online, let's go 4 to 6%. I was a retailer for 10 years, so I have this personal experience. When you are going in organic, 4 to 6% is like this person love you, will buy you, will engage with you. But normally this number is not more than 30% of your sales. The other 70% of your sales are people that browse you, that will find you to social media for physical locations. What to do to be able to connect with them? In my opinion, trust is something that will change how these 70% of your sales will behave. Why? Yesterday, the last review on internet content wrote that more than 50% of the content in internet now is created by AI. And now we are starting to see that the information in internet is not credible anymore. You need to do your personal validation. If it's AI, if it's a joke, it's reality, it's not reality, it's an avatar, it is not, it's a deep fake. That now the deep fake is not even like, it is like impossible to understand what is the difference. So, and it's so easy to create content that now trust. What are the channel of trust for your consumers? And in that scenario, the way that I see humans as a sociologically, we want to connect with humans. At the moment that you as a CEO allow humans to connect with your brand, with humans concepts, you will have the trust and you can win the other 70%. Because now you have retail media, AI, everybody doing content, everybody producing content. Man, we are going to be like in Times Square, in the middle of Times Square, like full of media content that, you are only want to say, I don't want to look anymore. This is what's going to happen to consumers next 24 months. So trust is going to be the biggest decision point. And I invite all the CEOs to go and guarantee that you have a human flavor, human smell, human connection, human emotion. So the rest of people can go and engage with you.
Yeah. I could not agree with you more. I think I think trust is going to be it's going to be a big challenge going forward. Because consumers are going to be out there experiencing not just fake imagery, fake videos, made up things. They're not going to just experience that in retail. They're going to experience it in all parts of their lives. They're going to be experiencing it, in movies or on dating websites or on social media, right? They're going to see it everywhere. And so they're going to start to have a big question mark in their minds of like, I have to ask if this is real, sort of thing. Right. And so that's going to be something they're going to bring to the experience with retailers and brands too, is asking like, are you showing me something that I can trust and that I can believe in? Right. So I think you've really said a lot there. I think that that's something that everybody needs to prepare for, is this era where everyone from our teenage kids to our grandparents, right, are going to be exposed to imagery and even moving video, right, that it looks absolutely realistic, but it's not, right? I just had a friend publish a post today of him playing for the Red Sox and hitting a ball and running around the bases at Fenway Park, and it looked real. I mean, it looked like it was him playing for the Red Sox, like legitimately. It was terrifying, right?
And we are
Um,
starting. We are just starting. Imagine this
yeah.
in 12 months.
It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. So, well, listen, I want to ask just a couple more questions here.
Yeah.
One of the things that I find when I'm talking to retailers becomes a big discussion point is, when does the customer journey start and end? Now, I asked that question kind of like, teasingly, because in my mind, the customer journey never really ends. Because if you're a retailer, you're trying to stay top of mind with the consumer, even when they're not on your website, right? So I'll ask the question sometimes, like, when does the second purchase journey start? Like, after they've made their first purchase from you, when does the second purchase start? And a lot of people will say when they come to our website or they visit our mobile app. And then, of course, I tell them, it starts the minute they hit the buy button on the first purchase, right? Like, that's really the start of the next journey, because you're trying to stay top of mind all along the way. But as we talked about just now, like, a lot of times the entry point into the journey to buy something isn't going to necessarily be you. It's not going to be your mobile app or your website. So what can retailers do better, especially in the age of AI, to stay more top of mind with consumers in more parts of their lives?
The challenge there is to be able to be at top of your mind. They need to be relevant. It's not to be there with hundreds of emails or ads. Nobody wants this. I say this to different guys. The worst thing that a consumer want is a lot of ads. We don't want that. We want to have some brand that is relevant and able to understand what will be our possible next step, and then to be there for us. So to be able to articulate that in the narrative of the brand, they are going to be relevant for us if we buy their products. But for that, they will need to know us. And then we go to a heavy topic that is privacy. But that will be the game. How the brand are able to understand their consumers, don't be relevant for them with the specific portfolio that they need in the moment that they need, not before, not after. And believe me, this is still happening. I just arrived to Miami. I booked my hotel in Miami, and from nowhere, I am receiving ads from 20 hotels in Miami. I say, guys, I already booked it 3 days ago. Why you aren't doing like spending all the money on ads after I did it? It's like they lose money. They are not relevant. I block all ads. Is a tragedy. So how they are able, how the brand is able to predict the next move for the consumers to show relevant portfolio for this possible next move and deliver the promise. And for that, you need data because you need to understand who they are, if they are going to ski, if they are going to tennis, if they are going to buy something for the kid, if they are going to do the gym. You need to know them. You need to understand your consumers, taking care of privacy. But this is the game that the brands that do correctly will allow them to survive, will reduce how much money they pay to Meta and Google and TikTok. So the money don't go on that, and they are able to invest more on taking care of their clients.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny. I love that you brought up data there because I think that a lot of people would say, this is the age of AI and all that, forgetting, of course, that AI doesn't exist without data, right? And quite frankly, if you want to look at it in a less fun way, a less exciting way, but in a more practical way, I think what we're really entering is the age of data, right? Because you need to enter the age of data for the age of AI to exist, right? Sort of thing. And I think a lot of people forget how good you need to be with data, especially if you're building and working with AI independently and doing things that are unique to your brand. I think that becomes a real important story. So, given that, I want to ask one last question, if that's all right. What should retailers and brands prioritize now in the age of AI or in the age of data, whichever you want to say, to stay ahead? I mean, what should they be doing right now that you think is going to be important for future proofing themselves for the next few years?
So the first one I'm talking with all the CEOs, stop pursuing shiny objects because we are seeing 20 new AI tools every week. And everybody want to jump in, arrive to a board and show how GPT work, how cloud. Guys, I told them, focus on what is going to be relevant for your brand in the next 10 years. What is not going to change in the age of data and AI? What is not going to change on 10 years? What is the value proposition that will stay? Maybe some of the value proposition that you have until this moment will change for AI. Maybe if you are a call center, for sure your game is going to change. But for 99% of the retailers, it's only going to be our 5 or 10% of the value proposition that will change. So the CEOs on board, they need to understand what is the part that is changing. Understand this value proposition. And then use data and use AI to guarantee that you are ahead. But it's not to use AI and data to show off to the investor that you have something that shine, that have a glow, that is fancy. That is the perfect way to do the job. The way to make it is review your value proposition. What is not going to change in the next 10 years? That is the main focus. Evaluate how you deliver the value proposition and use anything that is out there tested to deliver. That is my main recommendation for all the decision makers.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, Santiago. I really appreciate you joining us here today. And thank you to Rethink Retail for inviting me to be a guest host. I really have enjoyed myself and being a part of this series, especially kicking it off was really an honor. I want to thank everybody else for listening today, and we'll see you around the industry.
See you around. Thank you so much.